trust nobody cause they always do me dirty. I just lick my wounds, pretend like that shit don't hurt me, that shit buried.
All these motherfuckers need to get back. I ain't playing games, I don't get that.
I ain't worried.
They let me cause I'm trying like a Kit Kat. Plus I'm still working on my six-pack.
Ain't no hurry.
My homie made the beat and that shit slaps. Since it ain't broken, can't fix that.
Stephen Curry.
I'm finna take my shot, I don't miss that. Playing DG like I'm Chris Pratt.
Down the facade, I got me some homies, their schedules is open, they ready to ride. If you got some beef, then just keep to yourself, cause I don't have the time. If we get to scrapping, I'm bringing new meaning to open your mind. Your thoughts is where I reside. It's crazy, I ain't paid to find. These niggas is fake. They're the toughest online, but in person they're real than a trace. Talk shit about they homies, I bet they won't say to their face. They run in their mouth like they tryna come first in the race. You think that I thought it was safe? I bet my name is all over the place. I hold no disdain, but it's fakes that I hate. My name in their mouth like they loving it taste. So what'll it take? Cause I don't need a break. Don't need your help to be great. I got some plans to make. I got a chance to take. I might throw hands today in a manly way. Dip where my lands to stay. Tina can't stand the rain. I need a brand new band, a brand new place. I'm tryna fan the flame. Think of my answer straight. Think of my answer straight. I got some plans to make, I got a chance to take. I might throw hands today in a manly way. Deep where my lands to stay. Tina can't stand the rain. I need a brand new band, a brand new place. I'm tryna fan the flame. Think of my answer straight. Think of my answer straight. And that's because I can't trust nobody cause they always do me dirty. I just lick my wounds, pretend like that shit don't hurt me, that shit buried.
All these motherfuckers need to get back. I ain't playing games, I don't get that.
I ain't worried.
They let me cause I'm trying like a Kit Kat. Plus I'm still working on my six-pack.
Ain't no hurry.
My homie made the beat and that shit slaps. Since it ain't broken, can't fix that.
Stephen Curry.
I'm finna take my shot, I don't miss that. Playing DG like I'm Chris Pratt.
Working my mind with the words that is written. Working my body, I'm using the physics. Working my spirit, creating some images. Infinite digits to find a potential. If I got a vein, I just hit my niggas. But none of that talking, I'm spitting some lyrics. Can't get to taking these niggas too serious. Cause people be capping to keep up appearance. You sold your soul on clearance. Your heart is grown cold, you let nobody near it. You want the whole percentage, but you on the road with somebody else steering. So no one here to hear it. About to go down, so prepare to witness. Dripping some shit, can you spare some bridges? I got some homies that dare to finish, not scared to smidge it. Offer my homies a fair percentage. Don't care cause we winning, this terrible in it. You mad and I'm grinning. Cherry considering be here for a minute. I'm bare grows in it. Smooth like the skin on an infant. Rude like my name was Bart Simpson. Foolish and I can admit it. Move with the sound of a ninja. Cool in the mind of my business. Look, I can't trust nobody cause they always do me dirty. And you can't stay the night cause I'm waking up at 6:30. I just lick my wounds, pretend like that shit don't hurt me. I don't got the hammer like Thor, but I'm still worthy. I'm sore cause I've been working that core. I know my purpose, so pour me up some bourbon and more. I need 2 servings, of course. I see some serpents galore, but I'm not nervous. A chore, keep up them curtains. What for? So they can't hurt me. I can't trust nobody cause they always do me dirty. I just lick my wounds, pretend like that shit don't hurt me, that shit buried.
All these motherfuckers need to get back. I ain't playing games, I don't get that.
I ain't worried.
They let me cause I'm chocolate like a Kit Kat. Plus I'm still working on my six-pack.
Ain't no hurry.
My homie made the beat and that shit slaps. Since it ain't broken, can't fix that.
Stephen Curry.
I'm finna take my shot, I don't miss that.
Saying
Playing
GG like I'm Chris Pratt.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into Below the Noise, a safe space for artists to talk their creative process while showcasing their work in a hybrid interview performance setting. Hosted by Alex Riddle, myself, Colin Cassard. We want to thank you for tuning in. Today, we welcome in Quomni, a multidisciplinary artist based here in Portland. Using mediums such as drawing, music, animation, and more, he explores ways to combine these practices to cohesively bring them to life. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Thanks for having me.
Yes,
Welcome.
yes. Welcome in. Thank you for performing.
Beautiful. Love to.
Hell yeah. Well, making art to express himself creatively, emotionally, philosophically. Part of his practice is taking influence from the world around him, such as nature, fashion, music, everyday interactions, etc., and incorporating it into his work, as well as taking inspiration from within. Using art not only to express himself, but as a form of self-reflection, each project allows an opportunity to explore the conscious and the subconscious brain. So just based off of your, kind of artist bio that you gave us and everything, I appreciate the nature of duality that you bring into your music.
Yeah, it's pretty essential. I'm always trying to figure out how my music's going to inform my visual art and how my visual art's going to inform my music and how I can bring them together to create like a whole new experience.
Nice. Well, let's talk about the mask straight away. So in perusing your Instagram page, you had a little character drawing that you had drawn on there, similar inspiration to the mask. So I'm curious, which one came first? Was it the your drawing and then you conceptually created the mask, or the other way around?
Yeah, it was definitely the drawing that came first. I have these characters called kiddos, and there's a whole lore developing about them. The more I post about them, the more life they kind of gain. And I've also come up with this concept called kiddo mode, where I get kind of like wild and belligerent with my raps and stuff like that. And that's kind of where this idea of the mask comes from. But inherently, the idea of like Quomni is that he's like this like transcendent being that like doesn't really have like a human form, because he's really the embodiment of my art. So that's why I don't like to put my face forward. It's supposed to be the art that's like at the forefront. So that's why the art is essentially covering up my face in a way.
Like that.
Yeah, I appreciate that concept. Well, going off of the first song that we just heard here, it's called No Worries.
Yeah.
And that's off of your most recent project. Was it Nothing Sacred? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So Nothing Sacred. Go check that out on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you listen. But there were a couple lines that stood out to me as, a lot of them were obviously really good. I apologize if I get any of them incorrectly, as you were rapping slightly fast and I was trying to keep up with, a bunch of them. But you said Tina can't stand the rain.
Yeah.
And it's just, I love this. One of the things that I love about a lot of hip hop is the ability to take such a, make such a small line and turn it into like such a succinct reference or summarization of like a larger concept. So obviously Tina Turner doing I Can't Stand the Rain.
Mm-hmm.
But I really appreciated like just the simplicity and the imagery that attaches,
Definitely. Yeah. I'm all about those like small nods, and like you said, it's like all scattered throughout hip hop for like just those people who catch it and like can appreciate it. It's like, look, we're on the same page. And like we can relate almost on like a personal level in that way. And so I just like that line because like obviously it goes with the rhyme scheme, but then it's also topical to like what I'm rapping about. And yeah, that's always like, especially when they just kind of like come up, that's always like one of those like gems that you look for when writing.
Yeah. I hear that. So how long have you been writing?
I've been writing for about 5 going on 6 years. I started like fresh out of high school. My buddies would like invite me over to freestyle. I'm like, look, I don't freestyle, I don't rap, I'll come kick it with y'all. I'll like watch you, but like I'm not I'm not gonna partake. But like it just looks so much fun when they're doing it. I'm like, all right, I'll try it a little bit. And from there, I started like writing to the beats that we were making, and here I am 6 years later, like doing this, which is like really cool to see the progression.
Fuck yeah. Were you drawing before that? Have you been drawing, since for a long time?
Yeah. So drawing goes way like further back, like back to like 2nd grade is when I remember like really being like, this is like, I like doing this, I have a older brother who's 3 years older than me, and like he was pretty exceptional at like just all forms of art. He was doing like collages and stuff like that. And I would see all the praise he would get. I would see like he would get like awards from like school contests, stuff like that. I'm like, as a little brother, like that's what I want. Like, and so from there I started drawing, and it became my own passion rather than like following after someone else. So yeah, yeah. And when the music came, it was like, how do I incorporate this into my sort of like visual practice, and like how can I approach music the same way that I do art, and like, you know, learn new stuff and like, you know, let them both inform each other.
I like that concept. So, you know, you mentioned animation as well. How did you get started into animating? Was it just a natural progression once you're drawing to
Kind of,
pick
yeah.
that technology up?
So that actually took its own like interesting path, because I started at OSU, and I was there as like a zoology major initially with the art minor, but then like I went through this whole like existential crisis, and I'm like, art is what I like want to do. So I switched over to be an art major, and when I made that switch, I was looking up other schools that would have like a more like dedicated degree toward like the art that I wanted to do, because like fine art's cool, but it's not necessarily like, to me it's like boxes me in too much. Yeah. And so I was considering like animation would be cool. I had just gone through a phase of like cartoonizing a bunch of my characters and stuff like that. I'm like, this would be cool if this was like a show. And so like just like from that spark, like I was like, all right, what if I just find like an animation school? And so I ended up going to PNCA, which is where I like learned like a lot of my animation. Before that, I'd only done like one animated video and like played around with like flip books and stuff as a kid, but never really like thought too much about it, because initially I wanted to do like comic books and stuff like that. But animation just seemed like it made sense to bring my characters to life and like build the world, and just another like notch in a tool belt, so that I can continue to like grow my practice and like make it more immersive. Yeah.
Nice. Hell yeah. Well, going back to the song, you got another line that I liked. You sold your soul on clearance.
Yeah.
And I like that a lot. It's just like the idea, you know, you sold your soul, or, you know, as can be done, but not only you did that, but you just gave that shit up. Mm-hmm. You know, trying to get it off the shelves, like get me away.
Definitely.
I appreciate the imagery that conjures, where it's like, yeah, just people just trying to push away any like thought or, you know, heart that they have in any decision, and just be like, get rid of that shit. I want to just like have this routine.
Yeah.
Kind of type of vibe, you know?
Yeah. That is definitely one of my favorite lines. It's another one of those ones that just like came to me and just made like the most sense. But it's like, yeah, I feel like so much of culture today is just getting the bag and like getting it by any means, and like selling your art in a way that it's like, or just like the best way that I've heard it described as prostituting your art. And like when it's something that comes like from something that's like so ingrained in you, and like something you're so passionate about, like my approach is just being like really mindful about how you're putting it out there, and like what you're trying to get out of it by like putting it out there. And I don't think there's anything wrong with getting money and, you know, commodifying your art, but it's like, at what point do you like sacrifice or compromise your values and like why you're making your art and stuff like that? So
at a certain point it starts creeping into the way that you make your art.
Yeah,
right? You start
definitely.
making it for a purpose. Kind of feels like art should, you know, not necessarily be made with an end goal being the consumer.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, because whenever it becomes something like, whenever the motivation becomes anything external, that's when that starts to creep in. Like you start doing art a little bit less for yourself and more so like, how do I appease like whoever's consuming it, and then how do I make money off of that? Whereas like my approach, like fresh out of college, I'm like, how can I hold on to my art for as long as possible and like continue to put it out there and then let those opportunities for like money to come in, but like still maintaining like why I love it and like maintaining that joy, because you work all day doing like art in a job that you don't like, then you have no time to do art for yourself, or like the motivation or like creative battery or anything like that. So it's like trying to maintain that has been like a big part of like my practice these days, which is why that line sticks out to me. Like, you sold your soul on clearance, like you sold your art, you sold everything that's like valuable to you, and like you didn't give it a second thought because some money came in, you know, stuff like that.
Feel that. Well, the last one that I had written down, I wrote this one down because I appreciate the sprinkling of humble that comes with, you know, a largely braggadocious song. But it's foolish and I can admit it.
Yeah.
You know, and so I that's like one thing I guess that you wouldn't necessarily hear a rapper like say a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of the concept of a lot of rap music is showing that coat of armor,
mm-hmm.
and just being like, nothing can touch me.
Yeah.
And you're just like, no, foolish and I can admit it. You're
mm-hmm.
just like, yeah, I'm human, you know, which I can appreciate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's like something I usually, like you say, like try to pepper into my music, because so much of it comes easily as like braggadocious, but like I feel like that's in a way kind of part of the craft. So it's like me just trying to navigate that and like also try to be more like honest about it, you know. It's like, yeah, it's like we have our skills and we can like put that at the forefront, but it's like also a bunch of stuff that we gotta like, I don't know, like I feel like there's more to music than that,
other shit to talk about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And like I'm trying to like, as I continue to write more, be just more conscious about like how can I put that more just like humanness into like my raps and stuff like that, and like not have it be like the same stuff that I'm hearing all the time, because that's how we get like informed for like what we make. So it's like, how do I like break away from that and like make it my own in a way? And that's part of it, just being like, look, I can admit it, like I'm not always gonna have it right, but you know, we can still try and have fun with it. Yeah.
Yep. I hear that. Well, let's get into the second song here. This one is called DOA, Villain Arc.
Yeah.
And is there anything you want to tell the audience about this song before we launch into it?
Yeah. So pretty much about this song is like we all go through our lows, and what we do with those lows can, like, it looks different. So we all have our villain arc, and sometimes it's for us to like decide to come out of that or stay in it. In my case, I can try to come out of it, but yeah. DOA, villain arc.
All right, well, let's get into it.
Okay, yeah. After a little bit of being hurt, I guess you gotta put up those walls, put up those calluses, but only for a little bit. In the meantime, for now, I'm gonna spit a little bit of shit like this. Yeah, come and fuck around in the moonlight. You only come around when the mood right. You wanna tempt fate to roll 2 dice. Wanna take shots, I'ma shoot mine. You try 2 sides of every coin. One step into we join, just me and my boys. No beat around the bush, we just get straight to the point. Like the seat of my loins, just roll 3 to 5 joints. With that weed I got noise, but I needed my voice. Take this beating by choice, take the city by force. That's the key to my point. Kendrick told you niggas be humble. You better take a seat, I might son you. Speaking so fast, I might stun you. Speaking so fast, I might stun you. This beat is so rough and tumble. Pull a bad bitch from low. Niggas ain't ready for the rumble. You niggas get the bag and fumble. Cause little nigga wanna fuck around with where I stay, there'll be DOA. And this bitch out gon' have to vacate the place for like 3 whole days. When the boys roll through, you better tuck in your chain. Back to they Debo ways. Don't really give a fuck if you got a lot on your plate. Yeah, I pay my dues with the quickness, and I'm sickening like a sickness. I got Listerine for the dentist. Got history with you bitches. Said you missing me, but you fibbing. I'm not equipped to be no menace, but I hit the beat with precision. Simple in a sentence. Middle fingers up to the one that try to check me too much. Also try to ask me for the recipe. Bless me. Check please, hating don't affect me. Even when they put me in the ground, I'm resurrecting. Test me, cause I'm at her ballin' like my testes reject me. Then I'm at her fucking on your bestie. Resting, cause I'm making moves like a chess beat. Next week, I might keep it pushing to the next thing. I don't drive fast, but my car do. I try to slow it down, but it's hard to. If you wasting my time, I'ma charge you. I'm down to have a conversation, but I will not argue. Shawty from the valley, no Stardew. I'm getting money, same color chartreuse. If you're gonna take shots, better sharpshoot. Fool me once, there'll be no part 2. Little nigga wanna fuck around with where I stay, there'll be DOA. And this bitch Jack gon' have to vacate the place for like 3 whole days. When the boys roll through, you better tuck in your chain. Back to they Debo ways. Don't really give a fuck if you got a lot on your plate. Make your ass relocate, okay. Yeah, I make your ass relocate. Yeah, make your ass relocate.
So you were mentioning that everyone has their highs and lows when we were talking about the song right before, we heard it. One of the lines that I just liked, again, the simplicity of it, was just 2 sides of every coin. You know, and you're just being like, hey, there's stuff you're not seeing in this moment.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that.
Yeah. I like that line because, like you said, it's just like stuff we're not seeing. It's just a duality, which is a concept I really do enjoy. And it's just something that's always on my mind. And the nature of the song is like, all right, this is like the villain arc. It's like, this is not who I am 100% of the time, but like there is a side of me who's like going down this path. And so it's like, all right, this is like the dark side of that coin, so yeah.
Yep. The two-faced coin.
Exactly.
Yep. Another one that I really enjoyed on this one was Back to the Debo Ways.
Yeah.
Where it's like you could, just simply say what they're doing and, that would be effective. But the ability to just go in and reference, another like with the Tina Turner thing that we were talking about earlier, but just be like, all right, pull this entire character into my narrative and just be like back to the specifically Debo Ways, where it's just like you can just picture everything about it in that moment.
Yeah. I mean, Friday is like a classic for a lot of people. So like that one was really fun. Like, and it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know how obscure it is because to me it was like so like normalized growing up. It was like, whenever anybody like makes a comment about that, I'm like, yes, like, like less relish in this a little bit. But yeah, back to the Debo Ways, like, I don't know. I also like the imagery of that. It's like what chain, like what bike, like it's mine. Like, yeah.
It's a very specific type of like villain or bully or, that is slightly over the top. But yeah, I mean, I think I first saw Friday when I was like 11 or something like that. And I always loved, Chris Tucker is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I think the first movie I saw with him in it was The Fifth Element.
Oh yeah, that one's a good one too.
It's such a good movie. It's one that I go back to constantly. It's one of my favorite dystopian, like future city depictions on screen. I like that one a lot.
Yeah. Chris Tucker can always like liven up
yeah,
movie for sure.
Yeah, and it works really well with just the stoicness that Bruce Willis like depicts in it, where he's like even more stoic than normal.
Yeah. And it's the same contrast in Friday too. Like Craig, he's like the big tough guy, you know, like doesn't let a whole lot get to him, and Chris Tucker is just like, so like overly animated, which you gotta love.
It's that duality.
Definitely. Yeah.
One of my favorite scenes, like in any movie ever, is like when he pours that big old bowl of cereal, just like gets the fucking mixing bowl out, pours the whole box in, and then just like there's no milk, and his parents just use water.
Yeah, but it's so fun because like, I all come from some sort of like struggle, and like as much of as I was like experienced struggle in my background is like I've never like the concept of using water, and I'm watching this movie. I'm like I would just dump this shit out like Craig tried to do or something, or just eat it dry or something.
I was gonna say you could eat it mostly dry because like that small amount of milk would have soaked up in a couple, and you could throw out the soggy ones.
Exactly. Well, like, using water, like just think it would compromise the taste too.
Yeah, I was on the podcast recently, and my friend was saying how when she was in college she would pour beer on her cereal.
That's what I was just about to say, is burial. Yeah, we did that in high school.
That's like adding a whole nother flavor.
Well,
sometimes you do like burial, but like Brass Monkey style. You go like beer and orange juice.
Why would you put orange juice onto a sugary cereal?
Well, I don't know. Like maybe like I think we established when we were talking before the episode that like I definitely had a weird childhood, but like I'm not gonna lie and say that there wasn't orange juice on cereal days in my childhood.
What kind of cereal?
Probably like Cheerios or something really healthy.
Yeah,
that's not as bad.
There was no like sugary cereals in the house.
I can't think of like
no TV. No,
well, this person was saying Fruit Loops with beer.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean in high school when we would do that, like when we woke up the next morning after getting like fucked up, like take whatever
hair of the dog.
Someone's got a 40, like pour it out, split a few. Whatever the sugariest cereal, because then it like covers up the taste lightweight.
Putting up 40, see, this is like a whole other thing.
And like sweet and acid, like that's why sometimes you get a little bit of the juice in there. Like the orange juice, the acid balances out the sweetness.
See, as a kid, it almost like as on the like. You can call it like exploring, like when you're in school, you'll pour like the milk and all the food, but like doing that, like growing up, like that's a different level. That's definitely college for you.
I told somebody about that the other day, or I was at work, like at the bar that I work at, and I think it was one of my managers, and I was like, "Oh yeah, have you ever had burial?" And she was like, "The fuck are you talking about?"
You're working in a fancy French restaurant?
Yeah. For reference, I work in French fine dining as a bartender. I'm like, "You ever had burial?" And she's like, "The fuck are you talking about? Like, what is that?" And I was like, "Oh, it's like cereal, but with beer instead of milk." And like the look on this woman's face, it was just like in my head, it was like, "Oh, you made a mistake." Like,
sheer horror.
Like this woman's never gonna think of you the same way.
No, you ruined your reputation.
Yeah. Fuck that. I'm proud burial advocate.
Hey, you tried it, which is more than a lot of us can say.
We did more than try it. In hindsight, maybe it would have been better as something that was just tried. I get like a similar, I get like a similar look in the eyes when I talk about burial as when like mentioning like when we like rolled our dead homie in a blunt and smoked him. Like people get like really, really off put by that, and it's like no, like he wanted it that way. It was respectful. It was a good experience.
Like, in his last will and testament, essentially.
I mean, it's not like it wasn't something we talked about. Like we all saw how high.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. How high? That makes me think of my death wish. When I'm dead, I'd like to be like cremated, and I would like my like ashes to be made into some sort of like charcoal or some shit like that, and then from there like it'll be so meta if someone made like a portrait of me using my ashes. Like,
hell yeah.
Like could be, I don't know.
I love it.
I've never heard anything like that be done before.
I feel like people don't get bold enough with their afterlife choices. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like I'm just gonna call it like I see it. Like I feel like there's all sorts of cool shit that you could do.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier about like the bones, right? I'm like, I wouldn't be mad. Like, you can keep my skull, like, put it on the mantle. You know what I'm saying? Put it in the studio. I do happen to know that it is illegal, and they will not let you just keep the head of your dead loved one.
Very, very unfortunate.
Can you guys? How much extra is it for me to just get the head?
No, they won't do it. There's like a lot of laws in place.
On site.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of laws in place around the like proper handling and like movement of deceased bodies, as there should be.
Yeah, definitely.
But then when you cremate them, and then they're just ashes, and there's no regulations on what you
know.
do.
Yeah.
To my loving future family and current family, in case you watch this, maybe just like have me cremated and just like throw the dude an extra like $150 to just leave the head out of the operation. You know what I mean?
There you go. See,
you want to honor me?
Yeah, if you really want to honor me, cut the top off, turn me into an ashtray.
It's immortalized right here. So
yeah.
While we're airing it out,
I love the idea of being turned into charcoal and like painting with that.
Yeah.
I like the concept. I've never thought about it based off what you're saying of like incorporating that ash into like like pottery.
Pigment,
into
pottery, yeah.
Just like throw me into a bowl and just like, have what is, like 5 generations down the road, they'll be like, what is this bowl? It's like,
that's your great-great-great-grandfather.
Yeah.
What?
Let me like exist on as what I love the most.
Yeah, for sure.
Piece of functional art.
Down for that. Like they've got the services where they'll like freeze dry your body and then use like sonic vibration to shatter you.
Whoa.
And then they'll pack you into like a biodegradable box and give you back to the family with a tree seed in the box, because you can't just like people don't make good fertilizer, like you can't just put meat in the ground, you know what I mean? It's all bad.
So
but
you just break yourself down into
I guess by like freeze drying it and turning it into like granules of personhood.
Granules of human.
Never heard of that.
You can actually use it as fertilizer and like grow a tree that is literally absorbing like the energy and molecules from your body.
Yeah,
which I think that's pretty cool. But I think that people can go even farther. Like, let's do more. Let's push the new
fun with it.
Yeah, this is a frontier.
Wow.
Yeah,
I've never even thought about that. I want to be shattered. Frozen and shattered.
Sounds. Yeah, that's
also.
that's cool,
I'm just gonna say, I don't know if like the nutrients that the average American is putting into their body,
probably a lot
broken
of
down, a lot of preservatives and stuff like that. I don't know if that's gonna like do good for a tree. I'm just gonna say that.
I guess we'll
find.
Yeah, we'll see in like 100 years when we have a forest of like dead people.
Yeah, right.
Just human faces in the bark.
Yeah.
It's like, now you're trapped here, Jeff. How do you feel about that? All right, so going back to DOA.
Yes, on that note,
DOA. Fitting title.
Yeah, there you
title.
go. Yeah. Full circle.
Yeah. So another line, once again, talking about kind of like the humbleness that you sprinkle into your songs is, I'm down to have a conversation, won't argue.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that because like, if you think about it, all arguments, they could be dialed down to like a mild disagreement, So it's like we can have a conversation, but if we're like yelling at each other, like nothing's getting through to either side. So it's like, let's cut that out of the picture. And yeah, that's kind of where that came in. Just like, I think more so just like growing up and like understanding my relationship with like anger and like, just like those emotions and like your interpersonal relationships. It's like for one, there's like only a few people who you'll like argue with and like keep around, and that's usually like family, right? But it's like, if we're just like two random Joes on the street, it's like, what's the point of arguing right now? It's gonna get both of us nowhere. Like, no one's gonna walk away thinking, oh, he was right. It's gonna be, no, fuck that guy, and like I was right. So it's like, yeah, we can just omit all the arguing and like it can be a tense conversation, but like let's have a conversation. Like, let's hear each other out. And
I think sometimes like if you take an argument, right, and you just like lower the volume, slow it down a little bit, then it is like a conversation. But then if you think about the things that people say while arguing, and then you slow those down into a conversation, like it very clearly doesn't make for a good conversation.
Truly.
It doesn't make a lot of sense. Usually there's not a lot of actual back and forth or response. So it's like, if you start in the slower place, you'll actually say something.
Definitely. Slow down a little bit, and we can, even if we don't reach an agreement, it's like we'll have way more respect for each other in the end than if we just like went at it and said all the like fucked up shit that came to the top of our mind. So
yeah. I mean, well, a conversation, implies that there's going to be listening on both sides of the table, right? Because you can't converse if you're not listening to the other person.
Yeah.
But an argument is just people yelling at each other, right? It requires zero listening whatsoever. And so, like, a lot of people, they want to be heard, but they don't want to hear.
Definitely.
You know what I mean?
And, like, in some of the most extreme cases, you got, like, the left versus the right and, like all these things. If there was, like, listening between those two groups, you'll understand that, like, you're kind of, like, saying the same thing, but just, like, on your own opposing side. Yeah. So it's, like, if you can imagine a reality where, like, what they're saying does make sense and you can because it's what you're saying on your side, but just, like, flipped, then it's, like, there can be some middle ground. Again, you don't have to agree, but, like, you just got to acknowledge that, like, this other side does exist. And from there, like, just, like, go your separate ways or decide how to resolve it or whatever. But, like, it doesn't have to be this, like, screaming match the whole time.
Like you said, it's often not as far as apart as it seems, It's, like, oftentimes it's like, no, like, we both want the same thing fundamentally.
Definitely.
And there's just sort of, like, different ways of getting there, but you have to, like, pause and listen and talk long enough to understand that you're ending up in the same place. You have the same goal, ultimately, It's like,
yeah, no, it's true. It's sad, but true.
Yeah. All right, well, we got one more song.
Yep.
This one is Wordplay.
Wordplay. Yep. What do you want to tell the audience about this one before we get into it?
Well, Wordplay is my personal favorite off the project. I think this one, for me, was, like, very cathartic. It was a lot of venting about, like, situations I was in. And, and if you like wordplay, you'll love the hook. It's using the same word twice in two different ways, which is one of my favorite things to do.
Sweet.
Let's get into it.
Listen to the weekend on the weekend until my feelings sinking. Weekend on the weekend until my feelings I'm going off the deep end, it deepens if my demons creeping. I just need a reason to rescind all the shit I'm thinking. Can't you see I'm bleeding? It bleeds into all the reasons I'm leaving. Look, who am I kidding? Don't make any sense, stop being a bitch. Let's just be real for a minute. I'm pissed at myself, I ain't listen. The shit that I knew from beginning. When I start rocking the boat, get to swimming. I had the vision, the image was vivid. When you were part of that shit, just forget it. If I'm a tenant vacating the premises, think I might treat you just like the last nigga did. Ain't no hokey pokey, jump out and in again. Wasting my time, my attention is limited. My heart is left hollow, is vacant. There's nobody home, don't knock or you'll wake it. It was exposed, it was naked. I thought I could take it, but I was mistaken. It's not too late, I can save it. Lay on the table and resuscitate it. I'm a closed book, but you tore out the pages. The answer was getting so close, I could taste it. No more to chasing. Back to the grind, and I know that shit's basic. Time is my currency, bitch, get the paying. I only vent when I'm mad or I'm faded. Not to get habit to habit, I hate it. Weekend on the weekend until my feelings sinking. Weekend on the weekend until my feelings sinking. Going off the deep end, it deepens if my demons creeping. I just need a reason to rescind all the shit I'm thinking. Can't you see I'm bleeding? It bleeds into all the reasons I'm leaving. I'm still trying to be a good guy. I resurrected my life, just needed to open my eyes, just needed to try. I don't care how hard you prime, not letting you into my mind. I'm drawing the line, don't trip on you, ruin the vibe. We all trying to have a good time, not gonna lie. You asked for a chance, I denied, and I answered with this simple line. I try to do the right thing, but it don't do nothing for me. But I can't be no villain, I can't disappoint my mommy. These bitches bitches try to spite me and they laughing like it's funny. But I can't play the victim cause I knew that shit was coming. I ain't no dummy. I gave you what you wanted wasn't from me. I mixed the marijuana with the vodka for my tummy. I think I need more options cause this toxic shit ain't for me. If I drop right now, they run my pockets for my money.
Weekend on the weekend
Until my feelings sinking. Weekend on the weekend until my feelings going off the deep end. It depends if my demons creeping. I just need a reason to rescind all the shit I'm thinking. Can't you see I'm bleeding? It bleeds into all the reasons I'm leaving. Who am I kidding?
All right, so we just heard wordplay. So you said this one, before we got into it, you said this one was one of your personal favorites. You said you got to do some venting. But what are some of the, like in a technical sense in the music, what are some of the favorite, like the reasons that you find it as your favorite? I got that out.
Yeah. In a technical sense, I do like almost like the simplicity of the beat. It's kind of like, like you hear the same loop, and because of that, it really makes you kind of focus on like the lyrics, because this is a song where the lyrics are really at the forefront. Also, like throughout all the rest of the projects, it's probably the most like emotional. You probably like hear my voice, and yeah, because of all that, I really like that, because like these are like just like the lyrics were all just like an amalgamation of pieces of like times where like I was just like really feeling something, and for some reason, like when you become like you go down this path of being an artist, for some reason like your brain just like starts translating your emotions into like whatever your craft is, and so like that looks differently like visually versus like musically, but like in this instant, like it was just like the first few lines of the song, like who am I kidding, like stuff like that like came to my mind, and like the like heat of like these emotions I was feeling. So yeah, all those kind of coming together makes this one of my favorite pieces on the project.
Oh yeah. Nice. I mean, you were talking about the emotionality of some of the lines, and I mean, obviously the wordplay, as the song is called, but you say, I listen to The Weeknd on the weekend until my feelings sink in. Is it they start sinking or they sink in?
Until they sink in.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
At first I was like, okay, my feelings start sinking, is kind of what I thought it was. But then as I typed it out, I was like, no, this makes more sense. But could technically do either. But, that's just one of those things, as we were talking about off camera. It's like using a word, the same word multiple times to elicit different meanings, and kind of the power that can embrace or, bring forth.
Yeah, and that line especially, for the longest time, I've wanted to use like The Weeknd, like the artist, like in a line for a song to like kind of talk about what his music does to me, because like back when everybody was like draking, that was the meme, like you're draking and you're like getting in your feels. I was listening to The Weeknd, and this was like back then, like my favorite Weeknd era is like his trilogy album.
Yes,
so
same.
yeah,
Same
and like this was like before this. I was in like middle school. I wasn't breaking any hearts. I didn't get my heart broken, but like, I'm like, I know how this feels,
It's universal.
And, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like as I grow up and it becomes more applicable, it's like just like driving at night and like listening to music like that. It's like that's when all that weight just kind of like both like falls on your shoulders, but like also like falls off your shoulders. And like I really wanted to try to convey that into a song, and like this is how it came out in this song.
Yep. Yeah, and that's once again going back to, as I was referencing, or you referenced Debo, and we talked about that Tina Turner, and we talked about that a little bit. This is the same thing where it's like you can, like elicit a mood by just simply stating the name of the artist in the line. And also, that's kind of one of those things where it's going to change depending on the listener. So for me, I instantly think of, Trilogy and like that style stuff. But for someone else, they could hear like, I can't hear my face, or I feel my face, or some of it's like more poppy or newer shit. So it's just like, it can essentially, I don't know, like kind of chameleon in meaning. Yeah. Which I kind of like that.
Yes. One of the best things about art is there's no wrong answers.
Yeah.
It reminds the sort of like use, like you're talking about, the like use of kind of culturally relevant things to convey additional meaning. Like it reminds me of, and like I don't mean this in a bad way, it reminds me of like rap memes almost, right? Where like when you look at a meme, part of the like cool and I think interesting and powerful things about like the idea of memes is like it conveys this whole additional context visually, right?
Yeah.
And that context is dependent upon the viewer's personal relationship with the thing being referenced. And so it creates this like really broad swath of meaning that can be distilled down into a single image.
Yeah.
And like, I think that like, when I talk to people in sort of some of the older generations who don't have a great understanding of like why memes are such an effective like way to or like convey emotion and feeling, it's like that's the thing is like, well, it carries this whole subtext and it's like I feel like younger generations, like we communicate a lot more through subtext and through like cultural subtext than has been previously. And in the same way that memes sort of take hold of that and reference it, I feel like the sort of like referential rap lyrics also in that same way, where it's like you can say a lot with a little bit because you're referencing something that itself has an entire like area of understanding and interpretation around it. So,
yeah, that's a really good way of putting that, because memes. I think about like if I had to explain a meme to my mom like all the time, it's like, well, you got to really go down this history and like this is funny. Like my mom, she loves Golden Girls, and like I showed her a meme of like just the Golden Girls and it said squad goals, and she's like, why does it say squad goals? And I'm like, wait, now I got to explain squad.
Right, exactly, because there's all this context.
Yeah, exactly.
And then there's like, you get like self-referential memes or like memes that reference other memes, right? And it's like there's these nested sort of meta layers. Exactly. I mean, trying to explain the idea of meta.
Yeah.
It's
like, nuts. Yeah, it really is.
I've got like, how do you explain this,
All right, so another line that I really liked was, I'm a closed book, but you tore out you tore out the pages. And that's just like the juxtaposition of both of those concepts where you're like, I'm a closed book, but you tore out all the pages. So it's just like, just a hard cover that's like kind of just missing all of its content. But it just, I appreciated the tying in of those two,
Yeah. I always think it's fun to find two different, like, pretty well-known metaphors and, like, bringing them together. And I feel like those two both really applied to me, especially considering, like, the situation I was writing about, but then also, like, how I kind of operate, which is usually, like, I don't like to disclose, like, a whole lot about what I have going on unless it's, like, through the music or the art or whatever the case may be, and, like, kind of, like, let you figure out what that means and, like, discern what it means to myself as well. So, but, yeah, just, like, that concept of, like, look, I'm already, like, not putting out a whole lot for you to, like, take from, but, like, you kind of came in and, like, did what you did and like tore out the pages anyways and like still like left me like what the fuck now, like yeah like you said, a closed book now, but like the pages are gone, so it's like what is it that I'm protecting in a way, because like everything that you took like is now yours to like air out to the world if you wanted to in a way, which I'm not a huge fan of. But.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, going deeper into the metaphor or into a different direction, it's like ripping out the pages is like ruining it for the next reader. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, you know, if it is a metaphor for a relationship, you know, I know a lot of people don't think about leaving a person for the next relationship that they're going to be in. You know, like more often than not, when you're in a relationship, it's like you have sort of tunnel vision, so to speak, and just like you're only thinking about that relationship, because otherwise it'd be weird if you were just thinking about the next thing, you know?
Yeah.
I know some people do, and they're shallow. But yeah, I mean, I like the idea of stitching together two metaphors or, you know, well-known societal sayings.
Yeah. And I like what you said about like the next reader type thing, because that always does become something that's like blaringly apparent, and like the next relationship is like what happened in the previous one. And so like at the same time you're trying to like grow with this new person, but you're also trying to repair whatever happened in the last one. Like just let the person know, like, look, this is what I've been through. I'm not trying to inflict this on you, but like it is a part of me. So it's like something that you know, it's like a work in progress in a way. And like it's always like cool finding someone to like who's like willing to like go through that with you, but it's also like you also feel like a certain type of way about like, you know, and like inflicting it upon them, but then it becomes like a give and take because you're willing to do the same for that person as well. Yeah, kind of a beautiful thing, but it's like also what's scary about like going into relationships, because you don't know if that is the case, that like they'll like, you know, hold it against you that you're trying to process whatever it is you're trying to process.
Yeah. A lot of people think that they need to be perfect to be in a relationship, or, you know, or that they won't attract a partner unless they're perfect. And so that's why a lot of people get into relationships with a person, and then those walls of like the air of perfection start to disintegrate, and then you get to really see who the person is.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you know, if the person's honest, more often than not, it's just a more refined or like quirkier version of what you got to meet. But, you know, what the people that are putting up that veneer of just like, I need to be perfect, I need to, you know, look a certain way. And I think that a lot of people, I mean, that's coming out in like the physical alterations that a lot of people are doing to their bodies, you know, both men and women, you know, where guys are getting, you know, implants of, you know, different muscles to make sure that, you know, that they look good. And, you know, women obviously doing the same thing in body modification and stuff like that. And so it's just this idea of perfection, like, and that's the only way that you're going to attract someone attractive. But, you know, it's, I don't know, it's kind of a crazy concept, just how it's all morphing, you know?
Yeah. And another thing, I guess, like another side to that line is like, yes, like I'm a closed book, but it's like if you gave it time, like I would have revealed the pages to you, but instead you like want to like, you know, take it like and forcefully. Like, yeah, exactly. And so that leaves like an even bigger scar than I feel like if, well, I guess it's subjective, but it's like, you know, taking this information like forcefully versus like letting me like give it to you. Like whatever you do with the information in the end is still like up to you, and it's gonna like affect me in a way, but it's like, yeah, like it's gonna be a lot more abrasive if you just like come in and just like rip out these pages when I could have like, you know, just revealed them to you like throughout over time or whatever the case is. But yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of people suffer from that instant gratification culture that we live in, especially now. I mean, you see it in kids a lot, you know, kids that are given like iPads and stuff at a very young age.
Definitely.
And how they don't understand like having to wait, or like if something doesn't like, you know, if it takes a little bit of time, you know, even like typing something, you know, they're like, no, you push the button that you want to on the screen. What do you mean I type, you know? I don't understand this.
There's so much that goes into it. There's like that whole study about like one marshmallow an hour or two later, you know, and it's like you want the instant gratification of that marshmallow now, and like just omit everything that comes later because later's not now. Yeah.
I've been like cutting back on sugar a bit, and so like in my mind when you said that, I was like, well, one marshmallow's good. You know what I mean? I don't need it, so I'll just take the fun now. It's funny how your feelings or your emotions have shifted or your decision making over time. Because as a kid, you'd be like, oh, I want 2 marshmallows.
Exactly.
Now as I'm getting older, I'm just like, 2 might make me gain a little. I'll feel bloated.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming in, sir.
Yeah.
Coming into Below the Noise, showing us your art. I love the concept and how you're tying in, everything that we saw on Instagram before meeting you to your music and everything, and just kind of creating this whole narrative. You don't see a lot of people doing that kind of multi-platformed, multidisciplinary, thing. So
Sweet. Well, yeah, I appreciate y'all for having me on. Like, it's truly been a pleasure.
Yeah.
I'm excited to do more stuff like this, work with y'all some more. But being able to share that immersion with y'all and others is what it's all, or I guess part of it. Yeah.
Well,
and we will we'll be having Quomni back to do a full performance at some point in the future, so you can look forward to that. But for now, where can people find you? Where can they find your work, find out more about you?
Well, you can find me on Instagram at Quomni, Quomni. They'll probably have it written somewhere. And then through there, I have a link tree. We can find everything else. My music on Spotify and Apple Music and soon to be YouTube and all that stuff. So I'll make it as easy as possible for y'all to find me. But yeah, Quomni for everything.
Sweet.
hell yeah. All right. Well, thanks for coming in, and thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.
Peace.